Thank you, MC. And it's my great pleasure to be Hong Kong again and to join this great conference organized by Chinachem Group and co-organized by Hong Kong GBC. I have been to Hong Kong for, I think, more than 100 times, and I saw the city become more active and amazing. So I think green building and also as well as well building will contribute to sustainable and net zero community and cities in the future. So I will share some of idea and some of new trends and development in retrocommissioning and retrofitting for existing building, because in the city like Hong Kong or Great Bay Area or Beijing, Shanghai, the metro cities, existing buildings take the 90% of the responsibility for carbon emission reduction in the future. So the topic I show here, and it's more technical, but I try to make it more attractive to everyone in this room. Thank you. So I'll start with demo building. Some 15 years ago, was founded in the campus of Tsinghua University. It's a China-Italian cooperation project to try to demonstrate the new and advanced technology related to energy efficiency and carbon emission reduction in buildings. So they try to install the, photovoltaic 15 years ago, and also have a cogeneration system to use natural gas to produce heat, cooling, and electricity. And so you understand it's very expensive, but it's supposed to be very active. And also a lot of high performance of a windows facade with passive design, with cooling ceiling, displacement ventilation, and try to achieve some kind of a 55% of energy use intensity reduction as well as carbon emission reduction. So after the building was occupied, the professors and the students try to measure the actual electricity use in that building and compare to that in the other buildings in the campus. Here I grouped, I catalog the buildings in the campus into 3 different catalogs. So one is the building, they're all office buildings, but one part of them are equipped with ceiling fans for cooling. And the others equipped with supply unit. So people can turn on, turn off, related, depends on people inside or people just off of work. And also there's some new venues in the campus. They have centralized air conditioning, are supposed to have very high efficiency systems and equipment. However, talk about the energy use intensity in terms of kilowatt hour per square meter per year. That's very different performance. And the demo building here I show 89.1 kilowatt hour per square meter per year. So it's fair, not the highest and not the lowest. And if we try to think the target, we set it, and can we say we fulfill our, the original idea to design this demo building? So after the building was occupied, and there are a lot of discussion about this building, whether this kind of building to install all the kind of new technology can be the future for net zero in China or in the world. So also, as you know, China tried to reduce the pollution as well as the energy consumption for heating, because it's getting cold and a lot of space heating in north part of China. And people try to use heat pump to replace both coal-burned boilers or natural gas-burned boilers. And this kind of heat pump always is supposed to be the most environmental friendly technology, and they got subsidies. But after all kind of heat pump, the air source, the seawater source, geothermal coupled heat pumps, all kind of heat pumps. After the heat pump system be operated, we try to measure the actual electricity be consumed by compressor, by pumps, as well as the other equipments, and try to use these kind of indicators. That means 1 kilowatt hour of electricity can, 1 kilowatt hour of heating, how much of electricity be consumed, the higher the worse. So we could have the better one, the best one, L system. So just, and compared to the worst one, you can see the huge difference. So it's not the problem or the duty of the technology, but we have to use them properly and try to have real energy reduction as well as carbon emission reduction. So that's the target. And we believe we should not only to put something, but try to use them properly every day. So that's our goal for retrocommissioning and as well as for retrofitting. So the big trend changed from then on. That before, if we talk about the building, we check, we have a checklist, what kind of technology, what kind of a new technology you adopted. And now people want to see data during operation. The data during operation for the whole system, for the electricity, for the heating, for cooling, as well as for domestic hot water, fresh air intake, and steam, or whatever. But people focus on data. So I think that's a big trend. Not only in China, but also in Europe, in the United States. People nowadays more talk about data, what happens in real world, not only as what they said. So after that, the international expertise and professors decided to working together, also working together with our Hong Kong expertise to have this IEA EBC, Center for Buildings and Community. In this organization, we try to establish some kind of model, try to explain what happens behind the data. And try to understand that not only the weather or the microclimate, they can affect on the energy performance of buildings, and also, of course, the envelope, the system and equipment performance. So the left three factors can affect on building performance, energy performance, obviously. But also we mentioned that the operation and maintenance, the occupant behaviors, and also indoor environmental conditions also impact the operational energy consumption as well as the carbon emission. So that's why we do need a lot of efforts to enhance retrocommissioning as well as retrofitting. So after that, we try to measure data. For instance, we install meters in the United States, in the buildings in the United States, and transfer through internet without any firewall. And we try to understand what happens there. Here shows a real time in 1 week, peak summer day, and in terms of per square meter, how much of cooling be consumed in office building in Philadelphia or in Beijing. They have quite similar climate. But compared to energy use intensity, that means watt per square meter. So this is supposed to be the same, but actually you could see there are some kind of 6 times difference. And the lower one, the bottom of this figure shows the office and also there are 1 hotels, the cooling consumption, and the other 2 on the top is we measured the real-time cooling consumption in US, and then we wonder what happens. So go through this kind of data and we try to understand what happens, and we do detailed analysis, and we found that in the air handling unit, there's some kind of a heating and cooling trade-off because they have a cooling coil in advance to cool down and dehumidify the air and then reheat at the VV box. So I told them that in Asia Pacific, like in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Japan, most part of this region, reheat in civil buildings, that means not for industry purpose. Reheat or this kind of heating and cooling trade-off is prohibited. And we try to maintain the indoor environment, including not only temperature, but also humidity, but try to use another way. Try to use some kind of way without this kind of trade-off. So we, not only this concept, but also we check there are a lot of faults for sensors, for valves, dampers, actuators, whatever. And people think of that, if you just like, you know, open mind that, okay, in daily operation of our building, we're supposed to have the best technology, the best products in our building, but actually the performance or the operational data are not as beautiful as what we desire. So that's the idea. So after that, we think it's not enough, so we do more and more investigation. For instance, here shows 8 office buildings in Beijing, Shanghai, and United States and France. We try to understand what happens. And they speak a different kind of language, but the data says the same language. Yeah, the same language. So we measure the actual electricity use intensity per square meter per year, and we found that they are 10 times difference, 10 times. And if we just look at the outside of the building, we cannot have this kind of judgment. So that means we should, we should not only blind our eyes with the outlooking, but we do need to go detail. So we install a lot of things, some kind of 15 years ago, think of that, and it's still working now. And they have meters, they transfer and to use some kind of data mapping and try to normalize the energy use model. So think of that if one day in Hong Kong, all the buildings, now they just blind some confidential information, we try to compare them and we try to benchmarking them every day. So think of that. Well, it's fantastic. So we measure data, and I'm sorry, there's some mistake, but we try to understand what happens. So we measure the electricity used for lighting and appliance, and also for chillers, pumps, fans, and also we measure the actual cooling and heating for space cooling and space heating in terms of a gigajoule per square meter. So we have envelope, we have insulation, we have a high performance facade. But actually, how much of heating or cooling be consumed in the buildings? So that's what we learn from this kind of work. And after that, we go even detail. So not only we can compare in terms of per square meter, but we found also different why. Then we go detail to see what happens for the chillers. So there's some professors and some expertise proposed to measure each of the operated chillers size over some kind of 150 tons or some kind of big chillers. We should measure them. We should understand what's the actual performance through data, through measured data. So not only to say what kind of brand you have. So we do this kind of things, and also we measure pumps, because the pump consume a lot, and people will say, okay, it's just in the machine room, so forget it. But actually, they will consume a lot. Here's this chart shows there are some Chinese, I'm sorry, but in one building, a very tall building, they have ice storage systems, so they have glycol pumps, they have primary pump, secondary pump, they have heat exchanger, they have everything. And the pump consumes some kind of millions of electricity per year, and the saving potential is also millions. So think of that, and think of Hong Kong, Macau, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, even Taipei, even the big cities that always have this kind of things, and we don't know. So we just go detail and understand what happens. Also for fans, I will just skip it, but we do think of that. We need to understand the detail. So we finally got this chart. So in the beginning, we have overall energy use data. Then we understand what happens and the energy consumed by end users. Then understand the heating or cooling for space heating and space cooling and heating, also for domestic or hot water if you want. And then we go very detailed analysis to try to understand the imperfection of the system. So try to save energy. We should not only see something beautiful, but try to see something imperfect. Then we can find out the best way, or the cheapest, or the most intelligent way to solve the problem. So this we say climb the hill. Oh, it's a Chinese English, I would like to say. It's hiking. It's not like hiking. They try to understand what happens, then try to get the easiest way to solve the problem, to save energy, and to show to the building owner, to the tenant, yes, we can save energy. We can reduce carbon emission. Then people will trust you, will believe in you, and they will support to have some kind of a system tailoring. That means just get rid of some extra things and make your system simple and easy to be operated. And then to have some kind of optimization of the control. That means they can maintain the system performance as what you desire. After that, finally we can go to retrofitting. So after retrocommissioning is something we do not need to have some kind of lot of investment to replace some hardware. But retrofitting, you do need to change the pumps or to change the chillers, whatever. So we always believe that's the last solution, but it's not. It's not last, because if you have the replacement of your equipment, you will not stop there. You do need to think back. So it's like a mountain and have a tunnel. We like tunnel because they make have a convenient way for transport. But in the industry or in the engineering area, we go this way and we should not stop and come back. Think of that. How about the actual energy use intensity after retrofitting? So retrocommissioning and retrofitting is something like brothers. You have a retrocommissioning first and try to make system working or perform as better as you want, and then you got savings, and then to use the money to have some new and more efficiency equipment, and then do not stop there. Keep monitoring and keep thinking and keep modeling. Try to understand what happens, and then give some suggestions for new and brand new project. So that's what the way we propose. And also I show an example in the 5 minutes. So it's an office building combined with a shopping mall. It's a complex in Beijing and also developed by a Hong Kong developer and working together with mainland China one. And they supposed to have a lot of rating, green buildings and LEED and whatever. But after the building was occupied in the year of 2012, the first winter, the natural gas, they have gas boilers, and the natural gas consumption for space heating is some kind of 1.5 million cubic meter. 1.5 million cubic meter. And also they feel very, very cold at the B1 because a lot of cold air infiltration. And they say, okay, we can you solve the problem? And save energy is not the most tough, or we try to have a better indoor environment. Okay, we can solve the problem and we can save money for you at the same time. Then after a lot of works, the second winter, the natural gas consumption reduced below to 1 million. So some kind of 0.9 million. So get some kind of 40% of reduction. It's actual data. It's not simulation. It's not prediction. And what happens? And then we go detail. And after 5 years, finally, for the whole winter, with some kind of 125 days of space heating, the natural gas consumption reduced from 1.5 to 0.64. So gets a 60% reduction. No one believes that. It's a very good building. It have a lot of ratings, but actually after commissioning and retrofitting, we make it. And what kind of things we do? And we checked, we use infrared cameras to check each of the auto air intaking or exhaust air and try to seal any, we try to make the building tight, actually tight. And we also, now, for the temperature supply, water temperature to adjust according to the weather and to the building operation. So it's not very, very difficult. And after that, we told them we have the data for the office, for the mall, for the overall complex, and compared to national data, or even compared to EU standard in terms of similar climate. This building performance very, very good. So we believe we can make it after retro-commissioning and retrofitting. And what happens now? After that, people say, can we have a net zero heating for this building? Okay, it's ambitious, but we try to do this. So after a lot of research, we found that we could adopt some kind of a new type of geothermal heat pump. We drill to some kind of 2,000 meters and to use this kind of heat exchanger and to get heat, no water, but get heat, and use a very high efficiency of a heat pump to supply to this building. And also from this project, we also develop some new model and a new type of system, try to use waste heat and also geothermal as well as air source try to use the heat pump with flexibility. That means we work together with the grid and try to absorb windmill generated electricity in winter, because there are a lot of electricity abundant from this kind of windmill. So working together with them, and we can really achieve this kind of so-called net zero heating. And then the target is, can we have net zero cooling and net zero electricity for buildings and cities? So the target changed, and we believe that we could have photovoltaic installed, not in the northwest of China, like Xinjiang or Qinghai, and transfer after some kind of 3,000 kilometers and to the center of the energy use, electricity use. But try to install photovoltaic in the buildings and try to use them directly. And also try to use some kind of thermal energy storage, as well as try to use the electricity vehicle as a gateway for electricity storage. And after that, we can also have DC, replace some part of AC and try to make it work. And no one believed it can be done. And during the 3 years of pandemic, we work very, very hard and very quiet, and we make it. So this summer, this building, after retrofitting, it's an office building. After retrocommissioning and retrofitting, we install photovoltaic. We install new type of cooling storage at the basement, and we use a high efficiency oil-free chiller with VST for the pumps, compressors, fans, everything. Use DC, directly connect with the photovoltaic, and make it a really, we can achieve some days or 1 week of net zero. But it's a small step, but we believe after that we can summarize, and we could have a retrocommissioning for operation, and after that we could have a retrofitting, then think back for installation, for test and commissioning, and also to have this kind of a life cycle commissioning. And also not only based on data, and we can produce more knowledge, and then finally rethinking and to use AI to have real-time life cycle commissioning, and not only for system, but also for renewable energy on-site usage. So that's the last page of my slide, and we've been working together with our Hong Kong colleagues for 10, 15 years. And after that, we work together with EMSD, Hong Kong GBC, and now with Chinachem, and we try to make our city of Hong Kong beautiful and net zero in the future. Thank you.